Boom!
Boom!
Boom.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh.
Hey, Kirk, welcome to the Insurance Dudes.
Yes.
Have me on.
We're excited. We
I'm
like it having calls from other worlds, and we know you're in another world. Well, same world. Maybe different continent, something like that.
Something like that.
Different moons.
So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I just fighting a little cold, but could be a lot worse. So I feel good.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
You got a
Kirk
cough?
Baker,
No cough?
A little bit of sore throat.
just like some congestion in the lungs.
Yeah, no, none of that stuff.
Upper respiratory, no big deal.
Buckle up. It's the Insurance Dudes podcast.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Kirk Baker, you are in just outside of Magic Mountain, right?
That's true. We're just
Can
a
we
minute
say
away from
Magic Mountain?
Yep.
Can we say Magic Mountain or
You can.
Disneyland? I don't know if we can say those.
Yeah.
We can. We're allowed to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, we always start the show as a little icebreaker. What was the first concert that you went to? And it could be when you were a little kid, if it was the Wiggles, although
That would be
they weren't around
phenomenal,
when I was a
actually.
little kid either. So
I was 14 years old, and I went to go see the Beach Boys.
Oh, number 4.
Yeah,
number 4.
I grew up being a skimboarder and surfer at the beach, so the music was just perfect for that.
Yeah, it is great.
That's awesome. Kirk, you're right. We're close together. You're right down the freeway, which is incredibly free right
Is
now.
it?
Dude, there's
Unbelievable. I haven't
nobody.
been on it for a while. I would like to see it.
I
Yeah,
would
my
love-
mom.
Yeah.
My mom lives in the valley, and she goes back and forth, and she actually just did it today, and she said that like there's just absolutely no one. It's
Hard to
incredible.
believe.
How
It
come?
is hard to believe. Oh, there's a little virus going around, Craig.
Oh, flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a.
Well, we
kind of a
are
big deal.
now USA is number 1, so we got that.
Yep.
Ugh,
Maybe it's not the thing to be winning at, but
no.
USA. Since there's no Olympics, at least we won the coronavirus.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's true. I have a quote on the coronavirus if you want to hear it.
Yo,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
It's by John Wooden. Failure is not fatal, but failure to change might be. We all got to change.
Yeah.
Truth. Yep.
We have to. So before we dive into some other stuff, just why don't we set up the background, like how you got into insurance, how long you've been doing it, and then we'll go a little bit off of that, Kirk.
Yeah. 31 years with a captive carrier, real big company, good reputation. Actually grew up with being a dentist was my goal. My dad was a dentist, and it was my lifelong dream to practice with my dad. I took all the pre-dental classes, all the bio, the chem, the math, everything. I was accepted into dental school. I was very close to going. And then, dad died, and my motivation died along with him. And I decided I was doing pretty good at this thing called sales. And so I decided to do it. My uncle, who was a doctor, said, "Oh no, you don't want to do that. You want to have a DDS behind your name, And I had already made up my mind that I was going to do it. So when he said that, and this was an uncle that I loved. He lived next door. He's a great man, but that really put a chip on my shoulder. Kind of like, all right, I know the family's full of dentists and doctors and attorneys, but I'm going to be a rebel here and do this thing. And that chip on my shoulder for the last 31 years is served me well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, so you were going to be a dentist. Now, do you think that people are more afraid of getting a call from a dentist or getting a call from an insurance agent?
Right now, a dentist.
That's true.
It's funny that I use that analogy all the time when we're doing training about, look, there's two people they don't want to talk to. It's the dentist and the insurance person, right? They need to.
And
They need
ironically,
to talk
we
to
run
both.
our office a lot like a dental office. We call it a dental agency because, we get people in for appointments. We confirm those appointments. We have our dental assistants do as much as they possibly can do with their licenses, so that, the doctor or the agent only has to do so much.
Right.
I love it.
Well, which is the goal. I mean, that's the
Well,
point of owning a business.
It is. And in fact, speaking of that goal, I tell my team, here is kind of what your job is. It encompasses three things. Your job is to make Kirk money. Your job is to make Kirk look like a hero, which ain't easy, and make sure that Kirk has nothing to do.
Those are the perfect goals right there.
So yeah, those are the three goals for my team.
I can identify with the make you look good.
It's not easy.
It is not. It is not. They have to do a lot of work to make that happen.
And I'm sure when you first entered the industry, it was not that way. I'm sure you did a lot of prospecting, a lot of grunt work to get to where you are today. Can you kind of take us through that journey?
Yeah. I started in the late 80s and things were different. Throughout the 90s, things were different. I mean, you guys remember, I mean, hey, you were, the size of your Yellow Page ad was the big deal back then, right? And we had to learn to evolve to the internet leads, like we do with EverQuote. And we had to evolve to, getting our reviews built up, which we're working on every day. In fact, we've got a system for doing that. And so evolve, change, right?
So,
Yep.
So you've had the marketing change over the years, and I'm sure that's some combination because you have a larger agency, or do you have multiple locations?
I did, and I recently scaled back and decided to just go to one location, which was it was not easy, but it was a good decision. I've got another business that's consuming my time, and I just didn't feel like I could be doing three different businesses effectively.
When did you start that other business?
Started that other business last year, and it's been good. Time consuming, but good.
Nice. What is it? If you don't mind.
It's actually called Team by the Minute. It's an answering service.
Cool.
It is the unique thing about it is it takes care of our number one challenge that we have as agents, right? Our number one challenge is team. And this allows you to, if you're short staffed or, you got a couple out sick that day or whatever, it allows you to kind of keep things going.
Instead of running the voicemail.
Yes, instead of running into voicemail. The stats show that 80% of callers won't even leave a voicemail these days. So this, you don't know about those 80%. Are they calling the agent down the street?
Right.
What are they doing? And 99% of your clients, they want to talk to a live person.
Yep. That's what they pay for.
Yep. And the unique thing about this is just not your average answering service. It's got custom scripts. It's got a proprietary system. So like, for example, they call in and they say, hey, I bought a new car. Well, they click to the script, added car, get all the question and answers, and then pop an email instantly to the agency. And our goal is to try and make it so that we don't even have to play phone tag. You just get the information and process the change, and move on.
That's excellent.
Awesome.
And it's available to agents. I mean, how many agents do you guys have right now with the service?
Yeah, right now we've got about 30 agents on our service. And, we just started a few months ago. And we've got a bunch of other agents who say they want to do it, and that's so we're adding agents and adding staffing because we got a call center. By the way, they're all U.S. based. They're bilingual, so they speak Spanish and English.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
That's phenomenal. And before we keep going down and more, how can we get a hold of any agents out there that, we might be in a case right now where some agents are thinking SOS, half my staff, they don't want to work from home and, find themselves in a precarious kind of spot. So how can they get a hold of you to help that?
We're getting a lot of agents that are signing up now because of the Corona thing. They can't afford regular staffing. This is pennies on the dollar for staffing. They're giving their people leaves. Some people got it set up. Like I got half my team working from home and half of them spread out here in the office. And but to get a hold of them, they can just go to www.teambytheminute.com. That's our website. They can call our phone number or text our phone number if they don't like to call, 801-797-0580. And by the way, special deal for your listeners only. We got a 5% discount going on until the end of April. The discount code for that, if they want to take advantage of that, is all lowercase, Insurance Dudes 5.
Oh,
Insurance Dudes 5. As
so
in,
if they put
5%.
if they put
Love
Insurance Dudes 50, just kidding. Well, that's awesome. And you know what is really fascinating, and it seems to happen because I think that the folks that are agents, most agents that own agencies are entrepreneurial. And what we do is we're constantly trying to, Jason and I talk about it all the time. We're constantly trying to figure out, we're working 80 hours a week to figure out how to not work 40 hours a week. And so we're engineering different methods to solve for all these problems that constantly come up. I mean, we are firefighters, right? Or we're trying to not be firefighters. And so we see all of these different things, all these different services and ideas come up out of this world, because being so clunky and old school as this industry can be sometimes, especially technologically, there's so much opportunity to come up with things.
Yeah, and the genesis of this was because we had an answering service. We loved it. Now they were just doing name and numbers. They weren't doing these templates like we do, but we still loved it. I mean, they were great, and then the company found out. The company I work for found out that they were not being careful with the data. They were saving some of the data on their systems, and this is typical of most answering services. So we came up with a proprietary way not to save the data, to stay compliant and keep those compliance cops handcuffs off. So
nice.
We love compliance, and we want to make sure that we're 100% on that.
Yeah. So it's two agents from the same company that put it together, and it's cool.
And so do you think that this would then be compliant in other pools and other ponds?
Yeah. If let's just put it this way: if our company says it's compliant, holy crap! They are tough.
Yep. The big ones are.
Yes. We've got 8. Well, I can't say that. Okay. I'm just going to talk about how many attorneys we have at our company. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I bet. That's really cool, man. So I like to kind of go back too. So, I mean, you obviously saw a huge need within the industry, and you're helping to fill that need. Take us back to, you were talking about how the industry's changed a lot since the 80s and up to now with internet leads, and what tactics did you use back then that have completely changed, and how does it correlate to now?
Yeah, I think, tactics back then were more face-to-face. We would go around and develop relationships with the realtors and the escrow agents and, the new housing developments and the car dealerships and all that kind of stuff. And, it was a lot of face-to-face and getting to know people and relationships. And we still do some of that to a certain extent, but, now it's more about multiple lining our book of business and going after missing lines, internet leads, just a different approach.
Have you found the candidate pool that's out there, the people to bring on, that's changed much over the years, or it's kind of the same challenges?
No, it's definitely changed in our view. We do more scrutinizing these days than we ever have before because, I love keeping a team member for many years, but it's not a reality these days. I mean, team members, the days of keeping a team member for 20 years plus, it's just not there anymore. So what we've done is we've got a training program where we will, take licensed team members who want to become agents themselves. And not all of them want to do this, but, it works out good. We've had about 10 of our former team members who are now agents. And so we've helped them and mentored them, and it's been a good thing. I take a lot of pride in seeing them do successful. I mean, I was at a conference a couple months ago, and I saw this really nice BMW down in the parking garage. I mean, it was really nice. And then I saw the name of my former team member, who's now an agent, on that BMW on the license plate. And that made me feel great. I loved it, Yeah.
That is cool.
No, you go, man, go.
And I think it is crazy because it's a trend that I see with successful agents. The successful agents are the ones that truly do help others, whether it be their team or other agents and stuff like that. And then you have agents that kind of like are very secretive about their tactics and stuff, and usually they're the ones that are struggling a little bit more. But it's great to see agents that really help each other, and it's crazy how much it comes back to you when you do that.
I agree. And no matter what decade we're in, I think it's important for us to have passion. If you believe in what you're doing and you have passion about I'll tell you a quick story. What gives me so much passion about this is I talked a little bit about my dad dying, who was a dentist. He was a wonderful man. People loved him, even though he was a dentist. And, we had 6 boys, and the youngest was 3 years old when Dad died, and I was about 22. And, it just rocked our world. And, Dad thought he had enough life insurance. And back in the 80s, when interest rates were at, 15% for a savings account, he probably did. But as interest rates continued to drop, that amount of life insurance that he had just wasn't enough. So we kind of felt like we lost our mom and our dad because there wasn't enough life insurance. In fact, Mom ended up renting out rooms in this big home that we grew up in just to make ends meet. And, we loved to have Mom over, but we didn't like going to visit her because she had strangers in the house, And so one of the things that is I'm really passionate about is making sure that my clients know that story and they don't, have to live what my family lived, because, that's a big deal.
It is. Yep. It's crazy too. I mean, that people need that picture painted. A lot of times, especially guys are the worst with life insurance. It's like, it's the last thing that we want to pay for. It's like, we got all these other bills. It's like, come on, just like, it doesn't even matter if it's $30 a month. It's the last thing. but it's our job to really paint those pictures of real scenarios, especially if you're in the industry for a while. You see those scenarios, especially if you lived it. Like, that's an incredible story to really
Yeah.
help people.
And, you know, again, this is one of those things I think when we talk about story selling, that's one of the things I think stands the test of time. You know, we have another one where we had an actual policyholder who he died, and he was like 50 years old. He died, and he had a fiance from 20 years ago that he took out this life insurance policy with. And he made her the beneficiary of it. Well, after he broke up with this fiance, he went on, married another woman, had a child with that woman, and never changed the beneficiary. Okay, and then we get a call from the old girlfriend saying, was that, you know, do I have to give this money to his new wife? And we're like, well, you know, that's a moral decision you need to make. But, you know, that this is the kind of thing that people need to come in. They need to keep their beneficiaries updated. They need to keep their coverage updated. They need to know what's going on with it. So I think, you know, facts tell, but stories sell, right? Another one that we like to use is we had a policyholder that wanted a $500,000 life insurance policy. And she was in the middle of moving, and she said, you know what, I wanted to do it. I'm sold. However, you know what, we're in the middle of moving. I got boxes everywhere. So just call me in like 4 months and we'll do it then. So, you know, we made the mistake of doing just that, called her back in 4 months. And when we called her, there was this long pause on the phone. And she said, I don't want you to feel bad. You did your job, but I've been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I would imagine that your company would probably not do that policy now, would they? And, you know, we had to, you know, let her know that no, it wouldn't. And so when people put this off, when they procrastinate it, when they, you know, put it at the bottom of their to-do list, these are the, you know, the story cells that we like to use to get them off their tail end and get moving on it.
Yeah, all the agencies have these stories, especially, you know, the longer you've been in business, the more of these stories you've heard. I mean, I've been doing it about 12 years, and I mean, there's so many stories. And even on the PNC side, where, you know, you do the quote, the producer lets them go, and then over the weekend they get T-boned or they cause an accident or hurt somebody. And then they, of course, want to start the policy. But now, again, you've missed the window. And so I think part of the education with the team, and it's so important to be constantly meeting with your team to educate them, get them up to speed, and help them move the needle when they're talking to their prospects. What kind of things do you do in your agency for training? How often do you meet?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that. We're kind of obsessed with training. We meet every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9:30, and we use Team by the Minute when we do our training meetings. In fact, we recently had a team planning conference up in the mountains, and we took a few days off and again used Team by the Minute to cover the office while we were out. But in those weekly meetings, we do things like we'll go over the Life Happens videos, you know, those ones that have those, you know, 3-4 minute clips of an emotional story. We talk about questions and the art of asking good questions. We'll read a good book. We talk about the competitive advantages of our products. We talk about how to story sell and how to tell those stories that I talked about earlier with attention to detail and with emotion. We talk about notes that I get from my various study groups and recent conference notes. We'll go over that stuff. So training is huge. I'm a huge believer in training because, you know, trained people outperform untrained people. There's just that's the way it is. I mean,
100%.
Michael Jordan I love this one. Michael Jordan in 1992 and 93, his season average was about 33 points a game. And then he went to play baseball for a year, and then he came back. And the season after he came back, his average dropped to 26.9 points. Okay, this is the GOAT of basketball, and Tom Brady, the GOAT of football. In 2007, he had a 16-0 record. Right, he had 50 touchdowns and 8 picks. Then he has the ACL injury. Right, and then in 2009, when he comes back, his record is 10-6. And he had 28 touchdowns with 13 picks, which is still good, but not Tom Brady numbers. And so, even the GOATs require training. When we think that we've learned it all, that's wrong. We got to keep training. And, our team is starving for this stuff. I've made the mistake of thinking, oh, well, I go to all these meetings and I know all the, know what I need to know. But, I made the mistake of not being consistent with my training. So I've really tried to turn that around the last couple of years or so and spent a lot of time training and role playing and just taking that seriously.
Do you do call recordings and playback calls, grade the calls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They love that.
Two misconceptions I think people have with this is, one is, when I first got into the agency, I thought that it takes away time from selling. Well, if we're training an hour a day, it's taking away time from selling. But then you start thinking about how much time you spent selling poorly. Right. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like that's an incredible, now you're wasting not only money on staff that can't perform as good, but then you're also, if you're buying leads, you're wasting money on that. You're wasting opportunity costs. But and then my other thing is this, and I always tell our staff this, and I tell the agents that it's incredible that why in insurance are we one of the only industries that don't practice things, right? Like your golfer practices his swing, right? Your baseball player practices swing, but we tend to do a different quote every time. Like we're only quoting so many different things, right? And I said, it's the equivalent of going up to the plate and just swinging the bat around in every direction, different every time. It's like, you can't get better if you're doing something different every time. Got to have a process.
Yep. And the other thing we try to teach them is to listen. I've had team members that are talkaholics and they're just not effective. We teach them, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You're going to connect better if you really listen. And one of the things on that we teach is it's more important to be interested than to be interesting.
I like that.
Yeah. They want to talk about themselves. Right. Yeah. The person who you're talking to is going to be a multitude happier with you if they get to talk about themselves.
Yep. The other thing we teach them is keep it simple. All right. Let's not make this complicated. It's just insurance. So, keeping it simple is real. Like, for example, when it comes to, these fancy calculators on what's the right amount of life insurance. Well, we'll talk to them about, hey, $1 million of life insurance is going to produce about $4,000 a month of interest income. Okay. So with that as your rule of thumb, how much is 500,000? Well, that's 2,000 a month. How much is 250,000? Well, that's 1,000 a month, right? How much is 2 million going to produce? So that's 8,000 a month, right? Just keep it simple. So many people, it's like if you had a 4,000 square foot home burned down, would you want to replace it with 2,200 square feet? No, you want to replace it with the full amount. And so we talk to people about the right amount of coverage. The average wrongful death lawsuit from 9/11 was 23 times annual income. This is the government paying people 23 times annual income. Now, most carriers won't even write 23 times annual income, but what's the right amount? The most you can get,
Right.
And, Einstein talks about simplicity a lot. He says a true genius makes the complex simple, right?
Mm.
And I love what Steve Jobs says about simplicity. He says 5 gigabytes means nothing. 1,000 songs means everything.
I like that. A true genius makes the complex simple.
I must be dumb. I make everything so complicated.
We're all guilty of it, Craig.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, why do we overthink it like that, though? We overthink and try to
we
make it
show
better.
off how smart we are, right?
I guess.
It is funny when we do like a new project or something, or something even in the office. Starts off simple problem that needs to be solved. It gets all tangled up, and then we bring it back to the simple solution. There's all this craziness in between.
Do all this stuff in the middle with the Dr. Seuss tools.
Yeah. And now I'll admit, we don't do everything totally simple. Like, for example, we take it real serious when it comes to their liability needs. We'll start off, we'll do a review appointment, and we'll talk about, okay, has anyone ever gone over what is the right amount of liability with you? No. Okay. So let's talk about this. Cause I took this real serious. I contacted some of our company attorneys and I said, what's the formula for deciding if one of my clients kills someone in a car accident, what's at risk? And, how do you determine what is going to be paid out? What's it based on? Give me the formula. So I took that formula and I put it into a spreadsheet, made a fancy calculator out of it. And we call it our liability calculator. Sometimes we'll call it the asset review. It plugs in each little category, how much equity they have in the home, how much they have in their savings, how much they have in retirement, all these different categories. And then we also protect their income because, they can lose 25% of their income for up to 10 years. And then that judgment can be renewed for another 10 years. And so we'll go and we'll put that together. And, that's kind of how we'll start our reviews. That's kind of the most important part of the review because most people have never had this done, right? And if you take just a few minutes to go over that, we do it in 5 minutes, right? We get all that stuff. We make a recommendation, and let's say that their liability calculator comes out to 1.8. We say, hey, you're a good candidate for a $2 million umbrella, right? And we'll write the umbrella, and then when we do that, it makes it an easy transition into the other products because we automatically when we do that, the calculator puts the money into 4 buckets: a tax deferred bucket, a taxable bucket, a tax-friendly bucket, and a tax-free bucket. And, we talk to them about the different buckets and how they can maybe move some of their tax-friendly money to a tax-free bucket, explain to them how they can do that with, some permanent life insurance or super Roth, whatever you want to call it. And, it makes for a smooth transition.
I love that. I know a lot of folks from the carrier who you may be affiliated with, and they're notoriously good at life insurance. And I'm curious how it's a magnitude better than many of the agents from the carrier who I may be affiliated with. I'm wondering if you share a little bit of your process, how you get to that, why it's such an important part, or why it's top of mind with you.
For me, I just have a passion for it. I mean,
Story,
yeah, it just for other agents, I think that, when the company you work for puts an emphasis on it, then, you're smart to take advantage of that emphasis. Yeah. They throw promos at it. They throw, but honestly, it's not about the pins, points, and the plaques, right? It is about protecting lives. And so whenever we write a life app here, we don't call it that. We said, hey, I just protected a life today. And it's a completely different mindset when you think of it as protecting someone's life. And I'm telling you, millennials, younger people like that stuff. It gives meaning to what they're doing, right? Because and when we started doing that, they started taking pride in their work and feeling like they were kind of like the first responders of life insurance, because we're protecting lives, and we are. That's what it's all about.
That is. Yep. It's funny how that does get convoluted over time. It's definitely something that us as agents need to remind our crew and even ourselves at times, don't bend on that. That's what you do. At the end of the, of course you want the sale, and we can get wrapped up in that part of it, but it's got to be about protection, which ends up becoming the best way to sell, because people are shocked when you're like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, why is that person telling me that's not they're so passionate about that. Maybe I am, maybe I don't have the coverage. You know what I mean? It's most of our agents that sell a lot higher liability and such, and also book a lot of life appointments and everything else, are the ones that are passionate about that. And they're pretty much, you can't, that's something that's instilled in them. It's not they don't waver. Every policy, it's this is the right thing to do, and they're passionate about that, and they sell the most. It's incredible.
Yep. And another thing is, I belong to about 6 different study groups. I'll tell you the names because you'll get a kick out of the names: the Dirty Dozen, the Flying Turkeys, the Aces, Top 100, MDRT study group, and Travelers. And when you're in a study group, you got to be hitting the company numbers in order to feel good about going back to that study group. And I attribute a lot of my success to my mentors and my brothers and sisters in those study groups, because they help you think big, right? They give you some an accountability to not rest on your laurels just because you're, lifetime this or lifetime that, and you got all these awards. Who cares? What have you done lately? Keep it up,
Yeah, it's got to be part of the process, right? I found if to Jason's point too, and well, to both of you, if we do it differently every time, if we take the Shaq free throw approach, where it's just sort of, who knows what the hell's going on here, versus I like to use Kobe instead of Jordan, but you get there earlier, you stay there later, you practice, but you practice to a process, to a form, to a way to do it. Then it just becomes natural.
That's one of the things we talked about in one of our recent training meetings, is the Mamba mentality. He took 2,500 shots a day. He had a work ethic that was second to none. He was up at 4 a.m. to work out, even in the off season. He was the first in and the last out. He did tap dancing for better footwork. He brushed his teeth when he was a kid with his left hand so he could be more ambidextrous. It was fiercely competitive. So I think having that Mamba mentality is cool.
Right. And most people don't have that ingrained. You have to force yourself, right? You have to hold yourself accountable to that. I mean, there's the days where you don't feel like it, and you've got to make yourself do it. I brought it up several times. We had a guest on. His name's Jamie Alderton. He's an English guy that does workout stuff, but he lives in England.
Yeah.
And so every morning he goes and jumps in the ocean in England. It could be
that's cool.
Yeah, and he does it, and he says, "Do you think that I want to go jump in the effing ocean every morning?" And it's like, no, of course not. The last thing I want to do is jump in the ocean. But he sets himself up for success. He puts on his swimsuit and goes to sleep in that. So every night, there's no excuse, right? No, I don't know where my swimsuit is. I don't know. So he sets himself up for that success. And I think that, we definitely can come up with excuses. And if we can come up with excuses, then our staff most certainly will come up with excuses. So we have to lead by example, and give those opportunities where we reinforce that kind of Mamba mentality, or the Jamie Alderton put in your swimsuit the night before type thing. Yeah.
And speaking of team, I think it's important to show our team appreciation and do little things. Like every day when they leave, I'll tell them, I appreciate you. That doesn't cost me a penny, but it pays off in spades, because they feel appreciated. We give them a 401k. We give them benefits. We give them an annual trip if they hit their numbers to Hawaii or a cruise or snow skiing. If they get a compliment by a policyholder, we give them a couple movie tickets. Can't go right now, but if a policyholder is out of line and they're being I'll support my team and I'll tell them, hey, you don't need to take that kind of abuse. If they're cursing at you and yelling at you, you kindly exit yourself from that call. I care more about you, and I don't want you to not like your job. I don't expect them to lie when it comes to screening the calls. Tell them that I'm helping a client, but don't say I'm on another call if I'm not on another call. You don't have to lie for me. We do random bonusing, just here's a certificate for a massage, or get your nails done, or some cash. Random bonusing is huge, right? When they expect a bonus, they earned it. That's kind of a given, right? But when you do random bonusing, that is when they really fall in love with you.
Yeah, it is incredible. That is really good point, because it is incredible when somebody expects something, and it could be a great bonus, right? It could be your monthly $1,000 bonus, but when you just even $120 like little bonuses for things that they didn't expect, it's incredible how much it's appreciated.
Yep.
Little surprise attack, right? They're not expecting it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes it double. That $100 is $1,000 when it's a surprise.
And it's also important that we love what we do. Like, I have team members do all the parts of the job that I'm not good at. I don't know how to quote an auto or a fire policy. I have no clue, right? And I haven't for over 20 years, but I like to make relationships. I call myself the relationship rainmaker. I like to do review appointments with my multiple line clients. My review appointments that I do with single line clients, I have my team members do that so they can quote the auto without fire, the fire without auto. I like to do the team training meetings. I like to have team meetings and motivate them, get them excited, get them pumped up. That's what I like to do. So that's the part of the job that I do.
And I love that, because so many agents beat themselves up. Like, so many agents that you talk or that we talk to that are smaller, they think like they got to do it all. I got to do it all. And it's like, you don't do the things that you love to do, so that, to your point, the passion comes out, and then you love doing that, and get somebody to do the other stuff, because try to find the person that honestly is passionate at that. Like my, one of my service agents, she's an amazing agent, but she excels at service. You know what I mean? And it's like,
right.
Put the salespeople that excel at that, and then they're all excited about what they do. It's a good energy.
And speaking of doing things that you're good at, we're humble here. We know that we're not good at everything. So we like to outsource, right? So we have a company called Client Focus that does our appointment setting. So they call all of our clients once a year, schedule an appointment. It makes it so I don't have to, harp on my team, get this appointment. They'll still set some appointments, but Client Focus does the most of them. And they are fantastic. In fact, right now they're setting phone and video appointments. When things are back to normal, it's usually a face-to-face appointment. We talked about Team by the Minute. We outsource for that. We have tracking software like Racing Snail and Today App Pro. And, we use training programs like Insurance Training Institute, Foster Cannon, speed training. We have, our late pay calls outsourced to a vendor, that does that for us. For our HR service, we have an attorney on call for that. For our time cards, we have ClockSpot. For, we have someone that does our bookkeeping. I'm a big believer in outsourcing, because you save money. When you use companies like Team by the Minute, and you're only charged by the minute. Did you know that your team is only at their peak efficiency about 30% of the day, right? But you got to pay them for 100% of the day. So with Team by the Minute, you're not paying them. You're paying them by the minute, right?
Wouldn't
awesome. That cool if we could do that with our team, where we only paid them by the minute at their peak efficiency? So
I'm definitely only at peak efficiency about 10% of the day. If that.
Truth. No, it's true though.
Well, so let's just before we get into the last question, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into the team by the minute. How does that work? So you just flip them over and you flip the phones over?
Okay, good question.
Yeah.
So there's two ways. We have some agents who use them as a receptionist, and what we found is about 70% of the people that call your office, they're just trying to make a payment. And so what we do is we have, we'll text them a link or a phone number. We'll connect them with, our company has a connection service that they can just make the payment there, so that they're not even having to pay for that, right? That's just connected right to the company. They make a payment, boom, done. So that's the receptionist method. The other method is the 4-ring method. And this is where you just keep it on all day long. And if your team's like trying to juggle too many lines, or they're in the middle of a sale and they don't want to put someone on hold, you have it pick up after 4 rings. And, you can have it on all day long. And if it only picks up for 1 minute, you're only charged for 1 minute, but you had your phones covered the whole stinking day. What about the day after Thanksgiving? What about holidays that, that your company's not closed on, and you want to, give your team.
Well, we're obviously open on those days.
and we got a new service. This is hot off the press. This is big. Okay. We got a new feature that we've added to the service called the review service. I love this one. Mm-hmm. So, how there's these review vendors that are out there. I don't know if I can mention their names, but there's a bunch of them. You pay $200, $250, $300 a month, and they have these little, templates that you text or email to your clients. Yes. And hopefully you get a Google, a Facebook, or a Yelp review, right? Well,
right.
What we're doing with Team by the Minute is we're asking for you, right? And we're sending the text and the email for you, right?
That is awesome.
And so it's an added service. We include it for free for a little while for our new clients, and it's a brand new service that we're just starting. But that it takes away having to ask your team to do one more thing, right? Do you like asking your team to do one more thing?
No, they don't like being asked to do one more thing.
Yeah. So and it's totally compliant because you're not giving an outside vendor the name and number. Right? It's already, they called in. We have their name and number. We text it to them. We don't save it. Totally compliant.
And it's you texting, not us texting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. And so it's sweet because, you're building your reviews. You're going to, instead of having a couple dozen reviews, you're going to have hundreds of reviews. And and you don't have to, even with these other companies that you're paying $200-$300 a month, your team's still got to ask. Right.
Right.
And if they don't ask, it ain't, you're not getting your $200 or $300 worth. With ours, it's, I don't remember exactly. I think we're charging like $89 a month for that extra service, but so it's a lot less expensive and we're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. So
we're excited.
Let's say the world was ending tomorrow and there was
for a couple weeks.
Or for a couple weeks. And there was one piece of advice that you would give another agent that was starting up in this new world. What would be the number one piece of advice you give to anybody coming into the industry or, new agent or
somebody crazy?
Great question. Great. Yeah. For new agents, hey, I think it's really important to love what you do. Do the parts of the job that you like. It's not, Jason, Craig, you guys, you're good at different things. I'm sure you're not clones of each other, right? You do your strengths. And I think it's important to learn how to tell good stories. I think it's important to learn how to sprinkle in good questions. Become expert in asking questions. It's not about blurting out how much you know and trying to, sell. It's asking good questions, being a good listener and being skilled at that kind of stuff.
Love it. And then teambytheminute.com, right?
Yep. Teambytheminute.com. You can Google them and, we'll set you up with that discount, that 5% discount. Insurance Dudes 5. We'll get you the 5% off.
Case doesn't matter. Uppercase, lowercase. No,
All lowercase.
Okay.
All one word. Insurance Dudes 5.
Awesome.
InsuranceDudes5.com or as the promo for the website. So we will definitely put that in the show notes.
Yep.
Down below.
Yeah.
And
that'll show up when you check out. It'll be in your cart. Be a little discount code. Fill that in. Get 5% off for all your listeners. Good until the end of April.
Ooh, little urgency.
Love it.
Let's do it. All right.
Love
Perfect.
Kirk, thank you so much for investing some time with us and getting some great messages out to all the insurance dudes and dudettes out there.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for having me. You guys are great.
All right. Thanks, Kirk.
I love your podcast, by the way. I listen to them, and man, this I really appreciate you guys. You're doing a great service. We need you guys.
Oh, thanks. Man, when we started this thing, man, it was all about just talking to people, learning from people like you. So, I mean, it's honestly helped us so much. So thank you
great job.
To everybody else that's been on.
Cool.
All right.
Hey, you've got to check out the Insurance Dudes Inner Circle coming soon, where you get extended interviews as well as live coffee talks in our private Facebook group. Join the mailing list today at theinsurancedudespodcast.com. Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.